Okay, we are recording. All right, so I need to turn this down. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so basically you start Premiere. If it actually feels like starting. Well, now my computer is broken. Okay. Start Premiere. And you're going to create a new project. And you come over here to Browse to pick where you want to put it. I already made a folder called something, Nick's project. We'll just call it Nick's project. So you select the folder you want to save it into, and then you can just call it whatever. Nick's project. You want to make sure this is set for HDV, audio samples, timecode, and you might not have that option, but that doesn't really matter. Just hit OK. You come into the project, and then you will be prompted with this. It doesn't really matter what you pick. You can pick AVC HD, and then come into the 1080, and then pick AVC HD 1080p 30 frames. You can label the sequence or not. Hit OK, and then it'll open up your project. You'll want to create bins to organize your files first off. So you create a new bin by clicking down here, and then you name it. So we'll make a footage bin. We'll make an audio. We'll make one for the graphics. And then we'll make one for the sequences that we're going to create a bunch of. So you can just double click on the bin and then double click inside of it, and then you can import your audio to the audio bin. You can import your footage to the footage bin, and then graphics. And then we can just move our first sequence into that bin. So they're all stored in there. Now down here, you might have initially set up these channels called 5.1. They have a little 5.1 next to them, and it won't let you put normal audio channels there, so we can just get rid of those. So just right click on it and hit delete track, delete track, delete track. If you don't have those there when you set up, then that's fine. So first we'll bring our footage in. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, so we'll just start by dropping them each. It'll prompt you to change settings, and I think because this one is 720, it says up here, it wants me to change the settings of the sequence to 720, but we want 1080, so we'll keep our existing settings. And then it's not going to be the right size, so we can come in here, right click on this, and hit scale to frame size, and then that'll change it to the right size. So then we'll put number 2 above it. Make sure you don't cover it like that, because it'll actually make it disappear. That one is 1080. Number 3 is 720, so we do the same with number 3, scale to frame size, and it'll pull it up. And then number 4, if you just put it on top, it'll create a new video track and audio track automatically. So then we have all our videos. You can drag and select them all to move them all at the same time. How much do you know about Premiere? 0. Okay, good. Then I'm telling you all this stuff, and it means something to you. Okay, so then we bring in our audio, and we can just drop that down here, and it'll create a new audio track. These little arrows here will open up the tracks, so you can see the waveform down here. If you hold down Alt on your keyboard, and do you have a Mac or a PC? PC. Okay, if you hold down Alt on your keyboard, and you use the wheel on your mouse, you can zoom in on the track or zoom out. So if I want to see it closer up, you hold Alt and scroll in or scroll out, and it zooms in on it. Or you can use the little bar down here and grab it and do the same thing. But so what you want to do for matching up is you're going to want to come through and listen. Let me turn this up a little bit.
Say it. Say it.
Oh. As you guys already know by now, this is a tribe called Jake.
So this is Jake's.
So this is Jake the Snake, gamer
Also
extraordinaire.
known as guy who can't follow directions.
Also known as savior of the universe.
Can I do your count?
1, 2, 3.
Okay, so he doing 1, 2, 3 right there. If we come over here and you get the little red arrow facing inward, you click and then you drag and it'll just drag it away. It's not deleting it completely though. You can always come back and drag it back out. But for now, I'm gonna drag it in so that I know where that point is where he starts saying 1, because I need to move this or it might get moved and then I won't have a reference anymore.
1, 2, 3.
So he starts 1, 2, 3 right at the beginning of this right now. Also, what I did over here a second ago, if you go in between the audio channels, it gives you a little black up and down bar, and you can click and you can just expand them so you can see more of the waveform. And then the yellow bar will go all the way up to 6 decibels and then all the way down to 0.
2, 3.
If you want to adjust the audio or to just turn it off, you just turn off the little audio channel here. So let's get Tribe Called Jake. He's already labeled in here. And so we'll just scroll through. Let's open these up. All these windows do that same thing where you can drag them out if you go in between them. So we'll scroll through until we see his movement. I really don't want to hear all the audio tracks on these right now though. So I'm just going to turn those all off. I'll scroll this down so I can see it better. And then we're just going to scroll through here until we see his mouse move. There it is.
Alright. SLP 1. Oh.
Okay, so there's his 1, 2, 3 move. So we'll do the same thing. We'll drag in his video so that we can keep the start point close. So we'll match it up. If it doesn't, see, you can notice that when I bring it over, it kind of snaps to match up. Sorry, I shouldn't be pointing. It snaps to match up with this right here. Like as I drag it, it just automatically does it and puts a little black line there. That does that because this little thing is on. If that's not on, it won't do that. It'll just smoothly drag, and I'll have to do it manually and figure out exactly where it is. So just keep that on, and then you can just go close to it and it'll put a little black bar and you'll know that it's lined up with it. So
1, 2, 3. 1.
that's where he started. Left and right on the arrow keys will go frame by frame. So let me move back to where he came down the first time. So there. We'll go right about there, and then we'll move our video in, bring it back here. This is your cursor, by the way. Spacebar plays too.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
3.
All right, so that's pretty much spot on.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
All right, so once you have it like that, you're good for this channel. So this one is now matched up. So now we have to do the same thing with the others. So we'll play through,
1, 2, 3.
you know, until we find.
SLP, sync.
1, 2, 3. So that's where he does 1, 2, 3. So again, we can find out that's right where he does 1, 2, 3. So we can drag in our audio, so we don't have to deal with any of this, and now we know where it is. Come over to SLP, and then look for when he does his reconnecting. There it is. So he goes 1. So we'll drag it in, see how close we are.
SLP, sync.
A little too soon, so we'll bring it forward.
SLP, sync. 1, 2, 3, 1.
Brought it in a little too much, so we'll move it back.
Sync. 1, 2, 3, 1.
Oops, wrong way. This way.
Sync. 1. SLP, sync. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
It's close enough for what we're doing right now. But you can get it as matched up as you want. So then that one's matched up. So I'm not going to go through the other two because it's going to take a while, but you get the idea. Once you have them all matched up, so let's say this one was there and this guy was there. So say we have them all matched up now. Now, let's say our game starting. So we come over to our starting point on the game. I'm like, okay, there's our game start. If you wanted to go through all that, you can too, but we'll just say for the sake of this, we'll start there. So now we want to drag them all to start them there. So we'll drag there, drag there. Make sure when you do this too, you have that little red arrow, because if you have just a white arrow, you're actually going to move the track rather than just clipping it. So if you move the track, then you just unsynced it with the audio, and you better hit Control-Z before you do anything else. So clip over, clip it over, clip it over. We will grab all these, and now we'll move them with the white arrow because I just wanted to move them over here. But as long as they're all selected when you do that, then they'll all move together. So now what you want is you want to have the overlay on here. So what we're going to do, we're going to come to our graphics, and we're going to start with the first one, who happens to be down here. So we need to make a space to be able to put that in there. So we'll just grab these first three, we'll click on it, and we'll just push them up here, and make sure they all stay lined up with that little black line, and they're all in that straight line, and then let go, and it'll create another video track there. So we'll put one on top of that, and then you just need to drag this out all the way across the entire thing. Go, go, go. We should clip the end of the game too, so let's just say it ends here. We'll just get them all clipped together. Okay. So once we have his watermark on top of there, we just want to select both of those. You can hold Shift to select them both. And then right click on it. Actually, let me set this up. I'm going to turn these channels off so I can just see these. I'm going to go have just the overlay selected. I'm going to come up here to Effect Controls, go to Motion, drop that down, Scale, and you can scale it down to however big you want it, and then you can use the little position tools to move it wherever you want. So we'll just put it there for now. And then we'll come down here, hold Shift, select both of them, right click, and then go Nest. And so now they've been put into their own little sequence together. So we'll do the same with Jake. We'll drop him back down here so we can put his overlay above him there. So we'll come up to Tribe Called Jake. Do the same thing. It's going to take forever. And then we will click Shift, right click. Sorry. Let's adjust his effect controls, motion. I gotta turn his overlay on. Scale, bring that down. Bring this over with these position controls. He's good, so now we'll just select both of those. Right click, Nest. Now we will go bring down SLP, do the same thing. Drag that out. Remember to hold Alt and wheel scroll, and you can scroll in on it. Click on it, come up to Effect Controls, Motion. Oops, I didn't turn that on so I can see it. Scale. There it is. We'll select both of these, right-click Nest. Last one, drop him down, turn on this audio or this video channel so I can see his overlay. Drag this all the way out. Select them both. First, select just that one. Effect Controls, Motion, Scale. There's his. And select both, right click, Nest. So now we have them all connected with their overlays. Now we want to select all of these. Pause. After I do this, Orlando, is any of the game audio, is any of the audios for any of these going to come through anymore?
If you do what now?
I probably should have kept all the audio separate. I don't know why it changed them. Hold on, let me go back. Oh, okay. I made a mistake.
You should be making the game.
I don't want the audio to move into the Nest. So what I'm going to do, because then I won't be able to do what I want to do, I don't think. Well, let me see if they're still there. Hold on. Let me leave it how I had it, and let me see if those are actually in there. Okay, that's there. That's there. That's there. Okay, they're all still there. So what I'm going to do is this time when I do the Nest, I'm going to hold down Alt and select. So it'll only select the video channels. So now when I hit right click and Nest again, it'll nest all the video channels together, but it'll leave all my audios available for the thing I told you about clipping and all that crap. So we can adjust the levels of these by pulling down the yellow bar in between. We'll make them pretty quiet right now since they're super loud. So then basically all you got to do, right click on your final nest and then come up to this multicam, hit enable. We'll go to the very beginning and we'll go window, multicam monitor, and we'll hit play. And once it hits the timeline, they'll all pop up. So then as this happens, you can click around. Whichever one you click on, it's going to go to that one in your main screen on the very right. Every time you do it. So you can click whenever you want, and the little red thing signifies that it's actually recording that on your timeline.
I got spark pistol. Oh, God.
Hit stop and close out of that, and then you can see that it did all that. And it made all those cuts. Now, one thing that I forgot to do, which is really going to help you with doing the audio, was rename these, because now I have no idea which one was which. So let's say we had done this. Well, this is going to hurt, because you're not going to have done this. Remember to do this outside of the tutorial. Before you nest all this stuff.
I can tell you which one's which.
Do you know which audio is which?
Yeah,
Who was
so
where?
This one will be Tanner.
Okay. So we'll just label it Tanner.
Next one will be Jake.
Jake.
Orlando.
Orlando.
And Rob.
Rob. That way, now when you go through here, we're on Tanner's right now. So you want to come all the way up to the point of the cut. And as long as that's on, it'll you don't have to get exactly, it'll know. So let's just cut all these. And I hit C to bring up the cut tool, and then V on the keyboard to go back to the regular tool. So then we'll just click and drag and select all those audios and delete them. So now,
I don't know. Go.
look right.
Where'd it go?
There it goes.
And then so when we come into here, we're now on Jake's. So we'll hit C, bring up the cut. We'll cut Tanner's. You don't even have to necessarily delete it every time. I can just click and drag it over to there to get it out of the way. So we have Jake's. So we'll just drag everybody else's off.
Yeah.
Hang around here somewhere.
Oh, there it is.
Fall. It's your sidewinder.
Nobody's doing anything. I can't see. Rob. So then Rob's down here. We'll leave him for that one. We do have to cut Jake's because we don't want him to not be on that one.
You're alive! Oh, it's gonna kill you.
Then Orlando. If you wanted to go through and do all these little things, you can do that. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's matched up. All right. So then basically you do that. And then if you come through here and you say, oh, I didn't want to cut here. I wanted to cut, instead of cutting to Rob, I wanted to cut to Orlando. You can just, wherever your mouse is over, you can pull up the multicam monitor again. And let's say, who am I on right there? I'm on Rob. I want to go to Tanner. Okay, cool. Now it's on Tanner's for there. Or if you say, I wanted to stay on Tanner's for a little bit longer before cutting to Orlando's, you can just drag it over and then move it over. And it'll stay on that until that cut point. But then you want to make sure to move these to match that too.
Oh, it's gonna kill you.
And then anytime you want to start just live streaming it again, live editing it, you just go wherever you left off. You don't have to select it or anything. Bring this up again and hit play. And then you can just start cutting again.
It's a gay-ass weapon. You're a title.
And hit stop, and then it's put in all these new cut points that you made. And then you get to go through and cut out all the audios for all, if you want to do that. And you can adjust these, like if you think this is too quiet, you can bring this up. Or you can right click on it and hit audio gain and adjust gain by and make it some hugely high number. Yeah. And then once that's all done, then if you wanted to like fade in at the beginning or something, you can come over to video transitions, dissolve. I usually just use the cross dissolve. You put it on there. And then it'll just fade on wherever you started your video. And then you can come in and click on that and do the same little red bar and then drag it out for as long as you want the fade to last. Same thing with audio. You can either use up here audio transitions, crossfade, exponential fade. You can do that. It's kind of harsh. Or you can come in, you can set points. So this little diamond over here, you click it at one point and then you click it at another point and then you can select it and drag it down. And so that basically represents the waveform. You can drag that out however you want, and then it'll just come in. But then you would have to do that to that too if you wanted everything to fade in.
Where'd it go?
So yeah, that's basically multicamming. Do you have any questions?
Exporting.
Exporting. This little thing determines what's being exported. So you can either just make sure you select everything, or actually, what's easier, just select the empty space and hit delete, and it'll move it all over to the edge. So make sure this little thing is all the way up to the end. That thing's at the beginning. File, export media. come up here, format. I usually just do it in H.264. Preset, come down to HD 1080p 29.97. Then you come down to your video settings. That should all be right. That should all be set to how it is. And the target bit rate is where you're gonna make it however big you're gonna make it. You could probably go down to as low as 5 and keep your quality. It's gonna be a huge file. Since it is like a video game capture, I think you can go down lower and you won't have any problem. But you might start losing quality at that point. But it's going to be a pretty big file. That's 1.5 gigs. But you can play around with it. Like if you wanted to see, if you want to just render out like a 10-second clip of it to see how the quality looks at that bit rate, you could just drag this end all the way over to just like 10 seconds into it, and then it would only render out 10 seconds, so you can test that out. But once you have that set, then you just come to audio. It's on 192, that's fine, you can leave it there. And then that's it. Then you go output. I'll output it to the desktop, into my folder, Nick's project, and just call it whatever you want. Game stuff. Save, export, and it'll just render it out. And then you have your video.
Very nice.
And like I said, if you wanted to try, because it was going to take a while to render. So if you do it at like 2 bit rate, and you get it back, and you're like, oh, this is crap. It looks terrible. I should have done something else. Then you can just come in here, drag this over to begin with. Do like up to like 24 seconds or something. I'll export that. Settings should all be there still since I just did it. Oh, maybe not. That doesn't look right. It's at 20. We'll see what happens if I put it at 2. That's really low. Of course, it has to think about all the files that are in there, even if I'm only rendering out a 10-second clip. All right, so there we got our little render. We will open it up and see what it looks like. Probably looks like crap because 2 is really small. Doesn't look too horrible. I mean, you can see the pixelation and stuff. So you probably, if you don't care about the pixelation, you could leave it at that, but you probably want to be somewhere more like 4 or 5 when you render it out on bitrate for the video. That would probably work out better. So yeah, there you go. Multicam fun.
Cool.